I'm going to bring in this dust and this mist, and I have a couple more green screens that I can play around with. I'm going to use this one here, which is obviously shot with a degree of a crop here, but I can just scale that up so that it goes away. Make sure it goes away on the bottom. There we go. So again, this is a prime candidate for a garbage mat. So if I'm just going to extract a mat off of this, what I can do is I can use, this time I'm not going to use the pen tool, I'm going to just use a rectangle tool, and I'll just create a little mat around him. So now we're just dealing with that. Just make sure that he stays within the mat. And I only want a little bit of this. So I'm just going to get the portion of him walking, starting here. So it takes a step. So I'm going to hit B again for the starting of my work area. And then when he goes, I'll hit N to finish that work area. So it's just this. And now what I'm going to do is right click, and I'm going to trim comp to work area. So now I'm just dealing with this element here. And then it's just a matter of doing what we did last time, just doing a green screen. So key. That takes sort of care of the key. There we go. So spill suppressor, a key cleaner, and you can, again, play with these to get whatever degree of success that you need. But for the most part, we got a decent enough key off of this for our example. The only difference is his foot goes away. As you can see, when he lifts his foot up, his socks go away. And I'll show you how to deal with that. I'm only going to do one, though, just for the sake of showing. So if I want to get rid of that, I don't want to try to deal with his feet while I'm trying to deal with just getting a decent key on everything that actually looks pretty good. This doesn't work. So clearly I have to deal with this, but I want to deal with it separate. I could try to deal with it with the Keylight, but it's just going to ruin everything else. I'm just going to, for all the work it's going to take to do this, it's going to make this compromised. So what I want to do is I want to actually just deal with that as a separate item. So what I'm going to do is duplicate my footage. I'm going to hit duplicate, which is edit, duplicate, or Control D it shows you, Command D if you're on a Mac. And what I want to do, though, is I do want to remove all of this keying stuff. I want the original, because what I'm going to use is a feature that it's been in After Effects for a while, but it's getting a lot better as the years go on. And this is the Roto tool. So this is Auto Roto. And you can't do it in a composition view. You actually have to do it on a layer view. So if I double click on the layer, and by the way, this is it's just showing you the original layer. So that's why the black bar is still there. But you can always turn render off, because right now it's rendering the mask as well. But you can tell it what to render, what not to render. This is great for rotoscoping. So if you turn off, you can look at your entire image without worrying about where it's masked off. So it'll show you the edges of everything. I'm just going to go around his sock here and tell After Effects I want this sock. And it'll say this sock, and I'm like, that's too much sock. Now if I hit hold down Alt, I can do a minus, say no, you've gone too far. And I want to do that. And this, it's very important that you get on this, you get it as close as possible to what you want on this one frame, because it's going to use this frame as sort of the reference point. Now for this, it's going to be no problem. I just need the sock to come in. It's only going to be in for a frame at a time. Not a big deal. But if I'm actually using this to rotoscope something, I want it to have clean edges, and I don't want the edges to boil. That's the key. And you'll find that sometimes you'll do this and it'll have a boiling edge. And that's why we do green screen, is so to minimize the boiling edge, you just get rid of the green. But it doesn't always work that way, and sometimes you need to rotoscope things to make it work out. But for the most part, this looks good. So now what I want to do is I just want to go forward through the animation, my work area here, and see where it might need some help. So it's calculating all of these rotos. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to correct it. So I'm going to go frame by frame. Because it doesn't see the sock yet, so it doesn't know what's going on. And since it is a shape that is changing, so if it was a consistent shape, it's one thing, but here it's a changing shape because the foot's on the floor, then it's up, but it's found it. It's found it. Found it. Good. It's forgotten it here. It's missed it a little bit, but that's okay, and I'll just help it out. No, I'll say no, 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 no. I'm going to undo that. Just do this part. It's trying to grab the shadow, you see. I can hit a little minus in here, but I'm not going to be too worried about it just because, again, it's just one frame. As long as it's sort of there. And this I don't care about because that's already a part of it, so that's fine. I don't care. Now, generally, I would do this foot as a totally separate foot. So there it comes again. So grab that. A little bit of that too. And now it's starting to pick up again. Again, I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to worry about some little things like that. That's fine. Now with After Effects, now that he's done, this is perfectly fine for me. I don't care about all that other stuff because it's already in the composite. What I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze this now. And it's going to give me that as an alpha channel. All right, there we go. So there's our, if I go back to my composition, you'll see now that his foot is there. And it kind of looks at you like, it doesn't look that great. Well, I don't got a spill suppressor on it yet, so I can add the spill suppressor to this by going under my keying. And now it looks sort of the way it's supposed to look. Be fine for now. Of course, I can refine this later. It's not a big deal. I said I wasn't going to do it, the other one, but I'll do the other one just for the sake of doing it, because I can fast forward on this. So I'm going to duplicate that again. And off I go. I'll see you on the other side. And there we go. Let's go back to my composition. Now the one concept I want to introduce you to at this point is the idea of precomposing. Now this is all one piece. So it's got both of his feet rotoscoped and his body. So this is all one now. So what I want to do, I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take off the spill suppressor, and I'll show you why in a second. I'm just going to remove the spill suppressor for all these, the other two. So what I'm going to do is combine this into one, and I'm going to select all three of these, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to hit Precompose. And this will create a little composition with these three inside of it. And what I want to do is I want to move all of my attributes into the composition. So what I'm going to do is call this keep character or something. Hit OK, and it shows up as a composition now. And you'll see that in my project I've got a new composition called keyed character. So I can take this guy and I can put him into, I can create versions of him if I want. As many as I want. Do the matrix here. So now it is a baked, but not baked, rendered baked, but a baked composition as a pre-comp. The reason why I took off the spill suppressor, because now I can just add it back to the entire thing here. So if I go into my spill suppressor under keying, just apply it once. Otherwise, inside of here, it's applying it for each of the layers. So it's calculating every time it's doing that. It's having to calculate. I could do the same probably for the screen cleaner as well. But for now, this is fine. It's just keeping things moving fast because, as you know, After Effects will bog your computer down. So for the most part, it all works. We got a guy walking in the realm of nothingness. So let's put him into something. Now he is an alpha channel, just so you know. So if we go here, he has become an alpha channel. You can see I've got a little bit of problem with his arm and stuff. I can correct that later. Not a big deal, but if it's, he's small, so it may not even, read. So that's a call for you as a compositor. So I'm going to put him in the dust storm here. And let's just have him walking in here. And again, just like in the last thing, if I want to, then I want to start doing some form of color correction with him to try to get him to sort of feel like he's in this space. So say it's a fantasy sequence, whatever. Well, the blacks of his t-shirt do not match the blacks of the background. So this is where I might want to go into my color corrections again. And you can use, for that, you can use something like levels. Again, you can go to lumetri color. The thing about levels and stuff is it's going to be a pretty simple tool to use, so it's not going to use as much computer power as the lumetri color, I assume. And then what I can do is I can start to deepen these here. So I'm just taking this and moving it into the black areas here and just squashing it down a bit. And there's his midtones are right here. So I can, what you want to call gamma. Everyone has this, every software has a different name for these. And of course our highlights. And they play with the gamma. So it's up to you how you want to. But now he's starting to feel like he's a bit more in this universe. Obviously you're going to need something over top. So if I go there and let's put the light rays on. I have no idea what this is going to look like, so we'll just try it. Oh, that looks like that. Of course, this is 4K footage as well, so I want to put this down here. And I'll put this on another mode. Now my modes are gone, as you can see, because last time we were working on motion blurs. So I just want to hit my switches, toggle the switches, and they come back. And then I'll put this on, I don't know, let's put it on screen. And there it goes. So screen's too much. I can take my opacity or transparency, which is the reason why I think they do T. And do it like that, but I can also try add, see what add does. So now so I might want more dust in the foreground or something, maybe big dust that's close to the camera. So I keep it at the major. I'll put this on screen. Then hit T, put this to like 30% or something. So now it's all sort of coming together. Is this great? No, it's not great. But it gives you the idea of what you can do. And since he's an alpha channel, he can actually take on any of these. So if I wanted him to be, say, the mist layer, if I go down, put the mist layer below him and say this track matte, this is the thing, this track matte here, I can say, take the channel above you and use it as a matte. So here I can use an alpha matte, and there you go. It's just using that. And since it's on 40% add, I can bring that up. And this is the way Luma mats work, is that anything and track mats work, anything above it, it's going to reference. So if I were to bring in another piece of footage like the lights that we were using before, and I place this, I'll put it underneath the dust layer. What I can do with this dust layer, or the lights now, is I can say use the luminance from the dust, because the dust is black and white channel. So just say use the luminance of that. It's not an alpha channel, because it's not, if I go to alpha channels, you'll see that it's not an alpha channel. It's just a luminance map. So I go here and go to alpha. It's not, nothing. but it's luminance, black and white luminance. So I'm going to say use this as a luminance matte then. So on the lights, say reference the one above you and make it a Luma matte. Oh, there you go. And then if I say, I'm going to turn the mist off here for a sec. And then if I say do an inverted version of that, and there you go. Doesn't look great, but gives you the idea. So anything that's black and white as a luminance can be used. So if I do something totally ridiculous here and I make it a, let me just go and get a fire luminance matte or an explosion or something. So here's a fireball. That's all it is. So if I were to use that and I go back to this, again, this is going to look totally ridiculous, but let's just do it all anyway. So now if I were to say precompose this, I'm just going to call precomp 1, doesn't matter at this point. And I bring the fireball in and then drag and drop that in over top. Now this becomes the luminance matte. So now what I can do is say track matte, that luminance. So that's the inverted, but this is the Luma matte. And now it's just going to be revealed by that fireball. Does it look ridiculous? Absolutely. But can you use it where it doesn't look ridiculous? Absolutely. So this is one of those things that you can do. Now this also is referencing the blue background of my composition, so I can say composition settings and make this a black background. I'll change everything. There we go. So now it looks like that. And with this guy, I can do anything I want. If I go like, I want to move it here, I want to scale it, and of course it's going to scale from that point, but that's fine. If I want to scale it up, and now he's doing this. So it's not as bad. Still sucks, but still, you get the idea, and so on and so forth. So it's just a matter of playing and understanding what these luminance mattes are, and that's all it is, just taking the grayscale image above it and applying the luminance to it. So gray is partly see-through, white is fully see-through, black is holdout, so it's not see-through at all. And when I turn that off and I'm using the track matte, that's what I'm getting. And if you want to, and I'll leave you here, you can change this as well. You can say, oh, you know, I want to affect this, you know, if I go into color correction and say, change the contrast of this thing, brightness contrast, just yank up the contrast of this. I'm going to change the feeling of that luminance matte, and it's still going to read the new luminance matte. So it looks like that. Now it looked like that. Now it looks like that. So there you go. Perfect. This is one of the keys to becoming a professional visual effects artist. It's just understanding the ideas of how to separate items so that you can composite them together, and then becoming an expert in color and color matching and all sorts of things like that, of looking at images, dissecting images, and then making things look like they sort of belong together. So that's that, and I will talk to you next time.